from our heart, living from our core, living from our power, we all get more. We are powerful women.
Hello and welcome to the Alignment Summit. I'm Sue Erda. I'm your host for this event, and it is the Alignment Summit. And I am so happy that you are here because I know that if you're here, you are on your own journey of alignment. And that means to me, aligning with your own soul purpose, aligning with the calls of your heart, aligning with what you just know to be true for you. And I know you're here because you are so excited to hear from these 20 amazing authors of the book, Women Living in Alignment, because they are sharing their stories of how they got themselves into alignment, listening to those same things themselves, what they went through, how they did it, and how they're living today. So you're going to love reading that book, but now we get to talk to them. So first, today, I'm so excited to talk with Jamie Allen Bishop, and she is one of these authors that I mentioned to you. I'm going to read a brief introduction, and then we'll get started talking with her. Embracing your purpose with confidence on social media is what Jamie helps entrepreneurs do because she says your magic matters. As a master life coach, she lives a legacy lifestyle she loves, traveling to exotic locations, supporting family members to pursuing their dreams, and bringing peace to the world around her. Through laser coaching sessions, creating a plan of action, and holistic practices, Jamie helps entrepreneurs create thriving lives to bridge the gaps between personal, spiritual, and professional development. And Jamie, I'm so excited to talk with you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me, Sue.
Oh, I'm thrilled. And I know our audience is going to love you because I noticed this whenever we were on Zoom calls in the past with all the other authors, your energy, your smile is always there. You're always glowing. I love it. And I know you said people tell you that all the time, but why is that? Why are you so happy all the time?
That's a great question. When it comes to being happy and allowing yourself to be happy, that's probably the first step, is that allowing yourself to see the beauty in all things, even the challenging things. It's not easy. It's definitely a practice, but when you practice it, oh my gosh, the magic that happens in your life, in my life.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And it comes through. Absolutely. And, the title of your interview today is Following Your Bliss, Follow Your Bliss, which sounds to me like that's what you're talking about. That's what you're doing, and finding the joy that aligns with success. I love that. And we're going to get more into that. But first, for our audience, would you share, Jamie, a little bit about your personal journey and how it got you to where you are here today?
I would be honored to. When it comes to how I found this whole holistic healing and or spiritual journey, I was a newly married, new mother. I was in my master's program at university, and I was overwhelmed, as you can imagine. I was overwhelmed with the amount of change that was in my life. I was overwhelmed with all the responsibilities, et cetera, et cetera. And my mom, God bless her, volunteered for a conference, that's the word, conference around spiritual healing. And, probably 30 to 40 speakers over the course of 4 days. You got to choose who you got to see, and all of this amazing energy. All the people that are, of course, attracted to those experiences have the same kind of energy that I was feeling at the time. They were a little overwhelmed. They weren't sure what they were going to do with their lives. Here they had all this responsibility, and how do you manage it, et cetera, et cetera. And coming out of the break, I saw this woman on the floor, gorgeous woman, beautifully dressed, perfect makeup, beautiful hair. She just talk about glowing. She glows every time I see her. I'm like, oh my gosh, this woman is amazing and so powerful. And she was sitting on the floor, and she had a line out the door and around the building to see her, to sit with her. So I was, of course, enthralled like everybody else. And I went to this, I found out that the line was for something called toe reading, TOE reading. Oh my gosh. And I was like, what the heck is that? Just like everybody else. And so, I just knew, my soul said, this is what you need to study.
Wow, that's amazing. So just that's the thing that happens. I think people have these, they'll call them coincidences or synchronicities or something, and it's real. It's like it's lined up for us ahead of time. You believe that, right?
I absolutely believe that 100%.
Yeah. I know, and that's what alignment is about too. It's partly that. So, let's talk about alignment because that's the title of the summit. What does alignment mean and why is it important?
Alignment is such a beautiful word in that you're looking for a delicate balance in life, a delicate way of looking at challenges and happiness, things that you want and things that you have. That pursuit where you're not living too far in the past, you're not living too far in the future, but you're really trying to stay super present in the moment. That to me is what alignment really truly is.
And so why does it matter?
Oh, great question. Great question. Alignment matters to me because your joy is now. Your joy is now. My joy is now. There is no, you can pull in joy from the past, but there's no joy in the future without joy now. So you can it's kind of like I tell the story of the cart and the horse, right? We all know that analogy of putting the cart before the horse, it doesn't go anywhere, right? But if you put the horse before the cart and you dangle a carrot in front of that horse is constantly pursuing that carrot. If that carrot is your desires and your wishes and your wants and your needs, then it's always going to be in the future. You have to bring that carrot closer to you, closer to that horse, so that horse can eat it. Let's eat it now.
I love it. Awesome. That's great. So, Jamie, I know that there's this question that a lot of people think about. Am I here for a reason? So do you believe that we are all born with a purpose, or is it something we decide, or what happens? What does that mean? How do we know our purpose? How do we find it? When do we get it?
Also a great question. So there's a couple of different ways of looking at it. Are we all here for a specific purpose? Yes. I think we're here to learn, to enjoy the journey, to experience life, to have this beautiful, wonderful, I guess memories, if that's I don't even know if it relates to memories so much as it does relate to how we're showing up, whether we're showing up as the best version of ourselves and what that looks like. Because when we are showing up as our best selves, the pursuit of happiness is a piece of cake. It is a piece of cake. When, going back to the question are we here for a specific purpose? Yes and no. My purpose might be very different from yours. Your, pursuit, or as far as career is concerned, might involve something very linear, very corporate America, 9 to 5-ish. That's wonderful. That's absolutely necessary. And we still want you to come from that place of your heart space, of making decisions, of helping people in your organization make wise, healthy decisions. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're on a journey of, like, you've done the corporate thing, you've worked for somebody else, now you're ready to step into that light of working for yourself and, showing up in your community, showing up for yourself, showing up for your family. There's such an incredible beauty in knowing that you're pursuing something that matters to you. And that's, I think, what it comes down to for purpose is what matters to you. And when you find that joyful mattering, it's so exciting to do that. To pursue
Absolutely. And you've talked about joy a lot. That's to me the thing. It's all, I think about feeling good. I always call it feeling good. I don't think about joy so much, but it's like, if I'm feeling good in this process, even if I'm doing something I don't want to do, like this morning, I took a long walk and it was great. And it was like a lot for me to do what I did on my walk, the way that I walked. But it felt, even though my body felt a little, it was tough, it felt good to do it, right? So is that what you're talking about when you're talking about joy? Or is joy something different than just feeling good about what's happening around you, what you're doing, that kind of stuff?
Interesting. For me, and this is the thing, is we all define our joy differently. So what looks like joy to me may not look like joy to you. And that's an important distinction in how we find our joy. Because when we're in that comparison mode of, Sally receives this kind of, thing, she goes out and she does this and she has this and whatever, we're in that comparison, and that's very fear-based. So when we're in that love space and we're filling our joy pot, whatever that looks like for us, it really can make a big difference in what we attract into our lives and what we're experiencing in our lives. So to get specifically to your question, for me, sometimes I have to push through that fog, if you will, of the I don't want to, because on the other side of that I don't want to is exactly what I want. So finding that, things like getting up to go for a walk. Oh my gosh, I sit in front of this computer for hours and hours on end as an entrepreneur. That's kind of one of the challenges of working for yourself, is you don't automatically make yourself take breaks like they might at a corporate job or whatever. So I have to be very cognizant of how much time I'm allowing for myself to heal, to reconnect with nature, to get out into the community and connect with people. It's a challenge. So pushing past that, I don't want to, I'm going to waste my time there. It's too scary to spend time doing that. I have all of these things to do. But that's where the joy is. That's where you find that filling up your battery so that you can charge forward even more.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great. So tell me about this. Like, a lot of people have things that impact them in their lives. Tell me about a principle that you kind of live by. It's a number one principle you live by that has impacted you, that our listeners might be able to use in their own lives.
When it comes to finding joy, it doesn't mean that you're not going to experience other emotions. Okay. So one of the main principles that I live by, I came across, thank goodness, through Marianne Williamson. She gave this wonderful talk on anger. And at the time I was feeling a lot of anger about things. So it just struck a chord with my heart. It really, kind of broke the mold, or broke the wall around my heart, is what it came down to, so that I could experience love from a very different expectation level, right? And what she said in this talk was, and she preaches from the Bible, so, take that for what it's worth, but taking that as a core value, God never said that we can't have the negative emotions. What he said was we should not hold on to them. So when you sit in recognition, when you feel that angst or you feel those emotions that just like pull at you and bring you down that dark path where you can kind of spin out of control, we can get very involved in those dark emotions because they hit our heart and they're so intense, right? So when we allow ourselves to feel it, when we allow ourselves to just honor and respect that is how we're feeling, and then we look at it, and then we can shift it so that we look at it. Why are we feeling that way? What can shift in order to make us feel comfortable with whatever it is that's triggering us? Because those triggers are that's what we're here to do, as far as I'm concerned. We're here to heal the triggers, because there's no reason to have them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I walk around and there's a lot of angry people walking around. There are a lot of things that people are angry about over the past several years, and things have been escalating for many people. And we can feel that energy. And, so it's about us honoring ourselves in that process. I believe it's about us paying attention and knowing what those triggers are, as you said, and helping to, take care of them when they come up. So, let me ask you this. We touched on purpose before. would somebody know if they are on the right path for themselves? Is that the same thing as being on purpose, or what does that mean? Like, so, it could be a career, it could be a job, it could be a relationship, it could be, anything, what they're doing. How do you know if you're on the right path?
Wonderful question. I love this question because it truly does. And I feel like a broken record during this interview, and that's okay because it really is this soapbox that I stand on, which is when you're in joy, when you have your joy, when you find your joy, you enjoy life. Enjoy. It's the same. It's the same. So if you're in pursuit of happiness, if you're in pursuit of comfort, and if you're in pursuit of, a healthy relationship, find the joy in it. And let me just caveat that with saying, you already have it. Even if you feel like it is the most broken scenario in the whole wide world, you can find the joy there. You can find the joy. And when you focus on the joy, it expands. When you focus on I'll just tell you this tiny little story. Do we have time?
Yes.
When my husband and I first had a baby, we were both in our 30s. We were both, kind of a little bit more set in our ways than we might have been if we were in our 20s. We had these ideas, of course, as we went into parenthood with what we expected from ourselves and from this child and from each other. Oh, that was the challenge. Is I expected certain things from him, he expected certain things from me. And even though we had the conversation before the child came, it was completely different when the child came, right? So we struggled in the beginning to find our balance with each other, to find that place of happiness with each other. And when I stopped putting my expectations onto him and I started looking at me, and if it was going to bring me joy, I needed to do it. I needed to set the example of what I wanted to see. Oh my gosh, you guys, he stepped up to the plate big time. And so it was just like this magical experience of stop blaming and start showing. And oh my gosh, the praise for doing good things is what that's like one of my husband's love languages is having that praise, having that affirmation. The love languages, the words of affirmation for him are huge. So when I started acknowledging the things that he was doing instead of focusing on what he wasn't doing, he gave me more things to be grateful for, more things to praise him for. So it seems easy, but when you're in the middle of that angst and anxiety over things, it can be very difficult. But I love that example of how to pursue what you want to do in life, or what you want to show up in your life. You have to find it right now. You have 1 penny in your bank account. That's amazing. You have 1 penny more than all the rest of your bills.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so you're talking about joy. That's the word you keep saying, joy, joy, joy. So what are some of the misconceptions people might have about being joyful?
The first and foremost misconception about joy is that you can't have other emotions. That's just wrong. You can have other emotions. In fact, you absolutely must. Because if you don't have other emotions, how do you know that you're in joy? How do you know that you're there? How do you know that you're experiencing things from that happy, gentle, wonderful, loving nature? When you're walking through a rose garden, for example, if you're noticing the colors, the different flowers, how they're blooming, some are little itty bitty buds, some are wide open, some are ready to, fall apart and reseed everything else. There's all kinds of different levels of growth. And so honoring other people's levels of growth is a huge piece to honoring your own joy. When you feel joy, the other people that are struggling with their own don't affect you nearly as deeply because you are in that space of honoring where they are on their journey, on their path to finding their own joy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the contrast that lets us realize what is happening. Am I happy or am I not? So I like that a lot. And I'm saying happy, but joyful. And what am I feeling? It's about that emotional connection that we are having. So Jamie, you are a mindset coach for spiritual entrepreneurs. So is there, with all the people that you've helped, all the clients, is there something that a lot of people have in common that is a common roadblock, an obstacle that they're facing?
Of course, of course. The biggest common roadblock is ourselves. We are our own worst enemies when it comes to getting past the things that block us. So, maybe the vibrational level of working with me would feel really weird and uncomfortable because you're not a bubbly, outgoing personality. But you have to find somebody who is past your comfort zone and living the life that you may be pursuing, because there's something very powerful in hiring somebody to help you get past your own stops. That's a very powerful place to put yourself in. That's a very powerful decision to make. And so when we make that decision, we can step outside of our comfort zone, first of all, and then we can be guided to push open that glass ceiling that we've kept ourselves in to keep ourselves safe, right? That the brain is wired to keep us safe. So when we're trying to pursue something that's outside of our comfort zone, it doesn't feel safe. And so we don't make the decisions that we need to make in order to succeed at this new adventure without somebody else's help. I feel pretty strongly about that.
Yeah. So Jamie, let's talk about success. Get back to the title of your interview, Follow Your Bliss, Finding the Joy That Aligns with Success. What does following your bliss and finding your joy have to do with success?
We spend the mass majority of our lives in our careers or making money or doing what it takes to support our family in earning the lifestyle that we live. So it doesn't matter whether you're a stay-at-home mom and managing the household and all of the things that need to get done there, or if you have your own career or if you have your own business. Doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum of that experience. Finding your bliss is finding the joy in absolutely everything that you come across, especially in the challenging things. When we feel like we're getting dragged down in that energetic, I don't know if anybody else felt it, but this last, not to get too woo-woo on you, but the Mercury retrograde that just passed was an intense one. It was a very heavy energy. It was very, it was a little bit difficult to pull ourselves out of, but it's there for a reason. It's there so that we can go inside, so that we can examine the things that are wounding us or pulling us down or making us feel not in joy, right? So that we can take a moment to look at it, examine it, and then how do we overcome it? The pursuit of happiness is how do we get past this and see the joy anyway.
Yep, absolutely. And I love that you brought that together because, I do think that people get caught up in the day-to-day, the grind, the hard stuff, and forget that, there is joy all around us. There are things to be grateful for. There are things to be joyful about, happy about, and just go with that. So thank you for that. I appreciate that so much. And Jamie, I know that there are going to be people who want to reach out to you after this interview, after hearing you. How can they do that?
Through jamieallenbishop.com. Up there, all of my social media is at Jamie Allen Bishop. So wherever you are on social media, I have something there. I may not be posting regularly there, but that's what I'm working on personally.
All right. Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to that. And Jamie, what would they find on your website that would be of interest to somebody that wants to hear more about what you've been talking about?
A little bit about me, a little bit about the services I offer, And I'm in the process of adding links to any of the writing that I've done. So any of the blog posts, any of the, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully, and of course, all the social media links. So
Okay, awesome. Well, Jamie, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you for this interview today and talking about joy because, I know I get caught up too, and I forget about the joy. I forget about the self-care. I forget about, paying attention to me. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I know our listeners do too. And I appreciate you being a part of this whole project. I love your story that you shared in the book. It's a personal story of your journey. And I know that the listeners will love that. So I just am so grateful for you. Thank you, Jamie.
so much. I'm so honored to be part of this.
Awesome. And listeners, thank you. Like I said in the beginning, thank you for being here. Thank you for paying attention to your own journey of alignment. You'll want to buy this book, Women Living in Alignment, on launch day, which is November 2nd. We have a special 99-cent Kindle special on launch day. So if you're into Kindle, that's definitely the day to buy it, because then the price goes up after launch day. So buy that book. We also have the paperback book available that day, and you will love it. You'll love this. Please continue to listen to the summit. Reach out to these authors. They are here for you. They would love to hear from you, and be sure to read their stories in the book. You're gonna really love that. So thanks so much for being here, everyone. I wish you a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye for now.